Hey everyone, welcome to my pick, and today I picked talking about The Latte Factor by David Bach. So the book is about a girl named Zoe who's 27 years old and works as an associate editor for a world famous travel magazine. She made an okay amount of money, but she considered herself as living paycheck to paycheck. One day she saw a photograph in a coffee shop that she goes to every morning called Helena's Coffee. There were tons of other photographs in the shop, but this one in particular stood out to her. The only problem was that it was $1,200, which was way more than she thought she could afford. She told her boss about the photograph over lunch, and her boss recommended to talk to someone named Henry, who worked at the coffee shop that Zoe visited every morning. Zoe wasn't too keen on doing that, but she thought, hey, what else am I gonna do? So the next time she went to the coffee shop, she bumped into Henry, and she told Henry about the photo, and she said, oh, I can't afford this. And Henry looked at the latte in her hand and said, if you can afford that latte, you can afford that photograph. And Zoe was like, what? Like, how is that possible? And Henry, little by little, started teaching her about the compound effect and how the money she spends on lattes and lunch and other things could compound into an amount that Zoe couldn't even imagine. And over time, after she invests that money, it will become compound interest, which is kind of like you're looking at the big picture. So after a couple of years, that money will compound into even more money, and so on and so forth. And how the money that she would usually spend for lattes can compound so much to become an amount bigger than Zoe could have imagined. Henry taught Zoe 3 main rules. The first rule was pay yourself first, which meant before paying your bills or buying groceries or whatever you need to do, you should take a bit of that money for yourself and put it into a pay yourself first account, like a brokerage account or a emergency savings account or a retirement account, or maybe a mix of all 3. Which leads us on to the next rule, rule number 2, don't budget, make it automatic, which Henry describes as a day-to-day decision that is out of your hands. So basically when you have something like a 401k and pay yourself automatically, you don't have to budget because you can't really spend the money that's already in your 401k. And the final rule, rule number 3, is live rich now. So assuming you've already done rule number 1 and rule number 2, you just have to figure out what you want to do now. Find out what really matters. For example, Zoe really wanted to take a photography class, and after a few months, she did that. So after learning about everything Henry taught her, there was a big change in her life. Like before, she worked at a travel magazine, which she loved, but she really didn't think she made enough money. And while she worked at a travel magazine, she couldn't afford to travel anywhere. But after this change in lifestyle, she was able to go on vacations and travel. So that's just a very, very brief version of the story. And you can, of course, learn so much more by reading the actual book. And even if you're not into investing, I still really recommend this book because it's a great storybook in general, and it has a great plot and some twists along the way, and you'll find out who Henry really is. And you know, it's just a good read. So the reason I love this book is because 1, it's a great story, and 2, because it's a really easy way to understand compound interest. Because a lot of the times books about investing are really hard to focus on and just boring to read, but The Latte Factor is a story, so it's really interesting to read. You kind of just pick the ideas up on the way without you really even realizing it. So yeah, it's great, and I highly recommend this to anyone who's interested in investing. So the last thing I would like to add is please look at the appendix in this book. Even if you're not a big reader, you don't even have to read the book. Just take a look at the appendix because it has some really great charts in it, and it might even encourage you to read the book if you're not interested. And I will show you guys one of the charts. Here's one of the really interesting charts. You can pause and read it if you like. And if you paused and looked at that, you can see that it doesn't just have to be the latte factor, it could be anything. It could be the lunch factor or the chocolate bar factor. It doesn't matter. What matters is how much you can save by switching to a cheaper alternative, like making your lunch at home instead of eating out every day. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys will go check out this book, The Latte Factor. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!